Hi, welcome to Cliterally Speaking the Podcast. I'm Michelle Doherty.
And I'm Emily Lane.
We are BFFs dedicated to bringing you conversations between girlfriends over a bottle of wine.
Oh, I am so excited about the wine part.
Oh, me too. So pull up a chair, grab your glass,
and let's get talking.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I am doing pretty well, not too bad, other than I'm going to complain right now. I'm going to get it off my chest.
Get it off your foot.
Get it off my foot. The cortisone shot has worn off, and I am back to that horrible plantar fasciitis, bone spur pain in my right foot, hobbling around like I'm nearly dead. And I found out today that the insurance will only cover the cortisone shot once every 3 months. So after I had a pity party for myself, I just went online. I'm like, let me just, what can I do to try to manage this? In addition to all the ibuprofen and Aleve.
And wine.
I did not find anywhere that said to soak my foot in wine, thankfully, because that would have been a travesty. But trying to do like an anti-inflammation kind of diet and try to eat just foods that, will, help with that. But it was it was depressing because...
Yeah, because you've been feeling so good for a month. And now all of a sudden, it's like the switch was flipped. So can I ask, I know that insurance says they won't cover it. How expensive is one of these shots?
I haven't. I called my doctor's office today.
Yeah.
And, I haven't gotten a call back yet. But I don't know... But however
maybe
much
we
it
need
is,
to look for a sponsor for the...
Michelle's going to start a GoFundMe campaign for a cortisone shot in her foot, in my foot, just so I can feel like a normal person. And you don't realize like how much you take walking and standing, and I don't skip. Just being able to stand there and wash the dishes on your own 2 feet, that's painful.
Sure.
Everything's painful.
And I'm sure even just even not standing and walking, just having that pain be constant is also very distracting and frustrating.
It's a pain that doesn't go away. Yeah. And I know that there are people out there that have like much worse pain issues, but I was so happy and so excited to be feeling normal again that it was a pretty much of a blow to me emotionally this weekend.
Well, thank goodness, here we are. We're back in the studio. We are going to have a wonderful time because we, as always, we have delicious wine. We have a wonderful guest joining us.
And all my complaining is now done.
And we are going to turn that frown upside down.
Okay, Emily, that's exactly what we're going to do. It was already smiling once we walked into the studio.
That's right.
But I just had to, I kind of feel like all of our listeners are rallying, out there and sending positive healing energies through the universe when you're looking at your phone at our podcast app or our podcast logo. I need you to send those healing energies.
Send a little love to Michelle.
I'll give you guys reports as the episodes and the weeks go on. So anyway, we do have a great wine. We have a wonderful guest.
Yes.
It's going to be kind of interesting how you're going to handle this because our guest's name is Michelle also.
That's right. Different last name, though.
It is.
Yes.
It is. But you don't call me, hey, Michelle Doherty, when you're talking to me.
No.
So,
well, thankfully we have visual cues here, so it'll help us navigate our conversation. And I think that there's a fairly distinct difference in the voice. Michelle, our guest, Michelle, please say hello.
Well, hello there. Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here with you both and reunited again. It's been some time since we last got together.
That's right. So Michelle Biedermann met us through, of all places, Instagram. We made a love connection on Instagram.
We did.
Yes.
And it's a very good love connection. We can celebrate this as opposed to like we don't talk about those love connections that don't happen. We do not have like bad love connections on the show.
That's true. Very
those
true.
messages you block.
Those don't respond to. Yeah, we actually we haven't had a bad one yet. That's and I knocked on wood so we don't actually invite one in. But yeah, Michelle reached out to us on Instagram.
Yeah, because she comes from the wine industry.
And she's an early fan of our show.
Yes,
which makes
that's right.
it even better.
So we got together and we had a wine tasting together, and it was like originally a conversation conversation that I think we had only carved out maybe 30 minutes to an hour at most. And we ended up spending hours together and just true to our style. We just ended up, one conversation flowed into another, which flowed into another. And it was like, okay, why don't you join us on the show? So here we are.
Yes.
So Michelle, our guest, Michelle, actually brought the wine for us today. So Michelle, why don't you tell us about the wine, and then we'll go down the path of sharing our tasting notes.
I'd love to. So tonight you're enjoying the Field House Rosé from Central Coast, California.
And this was a 2017, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
This wine is unique to us and to others because it is certified clean crafted. And that is the wine industry that I work with, clean crafted wine only.
And when you say clean crafted, what do you mean by clean crafted?
Wine that is from grape to the bottle, completely clean and free of no chemicals, no pesticides, no added sugar. It's really just the grapes fermented.
Okay.
So
that reduces a lot of hangovers and some of the pain that some people might encounter when drinking wine, right?
Absolutely. I almost gave up on wine. I've loved wine since I could drink, and
Legally,
yeah, right?
Of course.
Wink, wink. And I have a vast background in the restaurant and beverage industry, and wine was always a part of it. And after having my daughter, who's now 2.5, having a glass of wine was debilitating. I would have headaches or migraines. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just out of practice, right? It's been 9+ months. No, it wasn't. And then I discovered clean crafted wine, much like our founder, who was also experiencing headaches. And the difference is all of the chemicals and toxins that my body was reacting to were debilitating. Whereas when it's not, I can enjoy the wine, the buzz, and everything that comes with it.
Right.
And they're exquisite. So it's really been a fun journey.
How wonderful. Well, I'm really enjoying this wine so far. And we were fortunate enough where Michelle actually came prepared with 4 bottles, and she was like, what one do you want? And it was really a challenge for us to pick out the bottle
Emily,
for today.
I offered to arm wrestle her so to decide what we were going to drink today.
Right.
But she declined. She said she had just gotten her nails done.
Right.
She didn't want to embarrass me in front of everybody else when she wins.
Wow.
So instead, we actually did we had a little bit of a tasting.
test, yeah.
And which one we went back and forth. And
Yes.
I was leaning towards rosé from the beginning.
I know.
And
You called it.
I called it. It is sort of springtime and
perfect season to start bringing these rosés back into our world. So I'm really enjoying this. The aromatics are surprising, and as this has been in my glass for, as it sits there and I swirl it around and get more and more air, more of the floral notes keep coming out. Right away, like my first sniff on this, I was like, ooh, rhubarb and watermelon rind and wild strawberry. But now, as it's getting more air, I'm getting this lilac aroma, which is such it's an unusual one for me to catch. And it makes me wonder if there are like lilacs growing in the area where this vineyard is. But I think it's very nice. The mouthfeel reminds me a lot of a Provençal rosé. And it's quite lovely. This is a 55% Syrah, 45% Tempranillo. I'm surprised. What about you, Michelle?
Oh, I really like it a lot. I like the fact that it is not. It's not too dry. It's not too. It's not sweet. It's just it's like a perfect blend. I can see having this on a nice, almost warm spring day. Sitting out on the porch, or even on a regular warm spring day. Actually, you could just drink this whenever. But it's kind of like, the pair of panties that I would pair with this is definitely a floral print. A print with lace and just very feminine and soft and supple.
It kind of reminds me of the pair of panties that I got from Francie Pants.
I was just going to say.
Pink flowers, white lace, like just so sweet.
So if Francie Pants were a panty, it would be this Field House Rosé. However, the aromatics on the wine are what you could expect. There are no aromatics on your panties. Well, not when they arrive in the mail, anyway. But we don't describe the aromatics of panties. We describe the aromatics of wine.
That's right. Now, our guest is not drinking today, despite the fact that she's bringing us lovely wine.
That's because she knows we drink a lot.
She's saving it for us.
She's like, you guys are going to want to drink it all. No. Anyway, Michelle, you represent this wine. What are the tasty notes that you guys talk about with this rosé?
Oh, with this rosé, I mean, I completely agree with Emily's picking up the notes of the rhubarb and the wild strawberry. And, it just reminds me of walking through, if you've ever visited California and you walk through a vineyard or a field and that breeze kind of comes through and you just get that really fresh floral air, but with like a little mountain sea breeze. And it reminds me of when the warm spring is coming, the frost is behind us. It's the perfect wine to sit on the patio, perfect wine to share with friends, perfect wine to surprise somebody with a gift. And I just think it's so drinkable. It's one of my go-tos. We like to bring this back with each vintage, and I think it's really approachable for anybody.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
I love it. Thank you. And what's kind of interesting to me, like on the nose, it smells like it's going to have sweetness to it, but on the palate, that it doesn't register at all. I don't get any
no sweetness.
Right.
Yeah. You get just that really fresh, crisp fruit, I feel like, and the juiciness, but it's not an overpowering juicy. It's just really a nice, smooth transition.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for bringing this
My
today.
pleasure.
I'm sorry you're not able to partake.
I know. I'm missing the wine, truthfully, but for good reason.
Yes, do tell. Do share.
So since we last met, a lot has changed. And the past, few months, really.
It
was actually before the holidays.
Yeah, it was just before the holidays.
Right.
So I found out that my husband and I are expecting our second.
Oh, congratulations.
That is so exciting. Well, we'll cheers to that.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
So sticking with the water.
Yeah. When are you
that's
due?
fair enough.
End of September.
Okay. Oh, when was your first child born?
July. Middle of July.
So you've already experienced, and the
Pregnancy
third
through the
trimester
summer.
in the
Yes.
in the St. Louis heat.
I will be looking for flowy moo-moo-like dresses and lots of sandals and flip-flops, I'm sure.
And nice cotton panties.
Yes, fancy panties.
Fancy pants.
I'm definitely going to have to try those.
So this is your second child. Is it? Are you noticing? Is it feeling very similar to the first? Like, were you like, oh, I must be pregnant because you've been through this before? Like,
I found out that I was pregnant in a way that I didn't imagine that I would. I fell ill, catching a virus from my daughter, who's 2.5, and it ended up. We thought I had the flu, and a few days later, after no improvement, found out that I had pneumonia.
Oh.
And in order to fully test for it, they wanted to do x-rays. So they said, is there any chance you could be pregnant? And we've been trying. So yes, there is a chance. Let's test. And sure enough, 2 tests came back positive, and then the following blood work came back positive. And they said, well, the bad news is you have pneumonia. The great news is that you are pregnant.
So they didn't do the x-ray then, did
We
they?
did do the x-ray, but I was like
you were
doubled
covered.
up with lead panels and protected. So, fortunately, there's some distance between the lungs and down here.
So how far along were you when they told you? was like 6 weeks was like,
it was like probably
yesterday.
the earliest you could find out.
Right.
You know, and so very early
24 hours later.
I think that egg is just now implanted in the uterus.
Yeah, it was very early on, and it was, you know, that just, you feel horrible to begin with, and you get this pop of great news, and it was really exciting and really did lift, you know, my spirits, but it was also a little frightening.
I would think so.
Oh, especially if you were battling pneumonia and your daughter had been sick. I mean, it sounds like it could be.
Did your recovery from pneumonia last longer because you were also pregnant at the same time and your body was trying to do two things at once?
Hard to say.
Okay,
I'm not
curious.
sure. You know, my doctor said, give yourself 6 to 8 weeks to recover because it really can take that long. And I feel much better now. But, you know, we just went for a walk this past weekend and I was getting winded easily, which you also do
when
you're
pregnant.
pregnant.
Right.
So it's just kind of it's hard to tell. But the best thing is that just getting over it. And, you know, the hardest thing was making myself stop and not do things that I normally would do. You know, and to slow down.
I was wondering when you said you had been diagnosed with pneumonia, what sort of signs were there that you thought this was different than the flu? Or did you even have a clue that it was different than the flu?
I felt like it was the flu coming on. And I went to a one of the little pop-in minute clinics that, you know, the next morning to quickly find out, because everybody says, go find out early. I had a flu shot and everything, but they said if you get there early enough, you can get Tamiflu and it will help your recovery time. I went in and the nurse did not swab me. She's like, you definitely have the flu. I'm going to put you on Tamiflu. Let's get you going. So that's what we did. And the next 3 days.
That seems like a little irresponsible to not
I didn't
validate.
even think about it while sitting
just
there.
pump you full of drugs and not even validate this is what you have going on.
I completely agree in hindsight. And while I was sitting there, I was like, oh, thank God she's not going to stick that thing way up my nose, you know, because it's painful, the swab before the flu.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
And
one reason to get a shot alone. Just
absolutely. So I went and got the Tamiflu, went home, and the next few days, Tylenol, Advil, etc., and I kept rotating. Nothing was reducing my fever. And I was pushing 103.
Oh, boy.
The cough and everything, the congestion was just worsening, and it was constant coughing, like nonstop. I'm embarrassed to even say it, but like I threw out my back from coughing while laying down. Like, how is that possible? Well, it happened.
Well, now we can say it is possible because we met somebody who that's happened to.
And it was
so what brought you to the doctor? Because, you know, so many women will be like, we'll just try to power through it. All right, I'll just, you know, I'll just get better tomorrow, or I'll just get better tomorrow. And, you know, the longer you push off pneumonia, I mean, that's the worse it is for you. So just
listening to that inner voice, just that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Something was not right.
Right.
And it was a combination of the respiratory, but also the nausea, the stomach, and the fevers, really. Like, why isn't my high fever going down? So I think that was the main clue for me.
So aside from, you know, your physical ailments of pneumonia and everything else, how have you, like, now that you've recovered from that, like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Is this pregnancy a little easier than your last, or harder than your last, or how are you doing?
It's so true what they say. Well, for most, I find that I've talked to is every pregnancy is different, just like every child is different. This one, I hate to, I don't like to complain, but I
already started the show off complaining, so you're welcome to
continue it. But it's been rough.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, after the pneumonia, after I improved from that, everything else is going to improve, right? But it was just 24/7 nausea.
Yeah.
Never got sick, but it was just always that feeling. And the only solution seemed to like eat crackers or mashed potatoes or bread and toast and, of course, all the carbs, right? And so I'm just laying down the carbs like every hour.
and your brain is going, I'm going to gain so much weight. I'm going to get so fat,
Yes.
and I'm going to have to lose so much weight later. And then that's not a good spot for you to go in your brain. And and you're trying to be excited about being pregnant for the second time.
It's not a very good place to start.
No.
But it was necessary. And it was also one of those things that I just felt, kept reminding myself, this will pass, this will pass. But it was also debilitating headaches and migraines that
Oh my goodness.
no rhyme or reason, and just fatigue, major fatigue.
Yeah.
So I'm a go person, and I am involved in a lot. Aside from my business, I have a full-time career, and I sit on a board, and I run a women's network. And
oh my gosh.
so juggling a lot and not being able to do any of that was just killing me. And what that ended up doing, unfortunately, or I did to myself, is I really just kept putting myself down.
I was just going to say, I mean, I would feel like
inadequate.
Yeah, I mean, being I like you and am somebody who is a active multitasker. I always have more than one project going at any given time, and I like it that way.
Right.
And as soon as I don't, a few things happen. I find like just my overall momentum decreases, and my spirit gets kind of. I don't feel as good. I feel when I don't feel as good, I'm not as accomplishing things. So, I mean, you are growing a baby, so you are doing one of the ultimate accomplishments. But I can understand how it could hurt your psyche a little bit if all of a sudden you're not able to be as active and.
Well, and if you're comparing it to the first pregnancy too, I mean, I find that, I've had 3 successful pregnancies. And the first one, your body has, it's new to the body. So it kind of resists their abdomen. It resists those muscles on, expanding because it's just, it's brand
what's
new.
What's going on here?
Right. The second pregnancy, like as soon as you pee on the stick, your belly sticks out like you're 6 months pregnant, and you have heartburn, and you're like, I haven't even read the results yet, because your body's like, oh, that's right, we've done this. This is where I'm supposed to go, and this is what I'm supposed to do. That's right. And then you are a little older than you were when you had your daughter. Not too much older, but it does take a toll on you. The older you get, to try to gestate and bring another human being to fruition.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I did not expect it, and it's more power to the women who feel great. They are so blessed, and I know people have it worse than I do right now. But I don't wish it upon anybody.
Well, and there's some people who like have really easy and great pregnancies, and then there's others that sometimes you're like, I shared with you before, I was popping Tums during delivery, and it's like, and as soon as the baby was out, then I don't have upset tummy anymore or heartburn anymore. And it's because everything is being shifted around and moved up, and your stomach is up here in your throat, and your liver's over here. And I mean,
it changes everything.
Yeah, I said I wasn't going to complain. I'm not really complaining. It's just more of a realization that you are not yourself.
No, you're not. And that enough is a lot to adjust to.
And you have another child already, that you have to take care of and try to balance now, that you're not just 3 in the house, you're 3.5 in the house,
Right. Thankfully, I have a very supportive, helpful husband who has the flexibility in his career and has been extremely supportive, picking up like on laundry and dishes and cooking. I'm like, thank you. But then you start to feel bad, like, I'm not doing that, when you're doing. But give yourself some grace.
Yeah,
and
you have to. As women, we have to realize that and give ourselves, like you said, grace or the permission to just let the dishes stay in the sink. Somebody else can fold that laundry.
Right.
I'm not even pregnant and I do that. I mean, like, there are weeks that go by and I'm like, I cannot look, I just can't do it. I can't do the laundry. I can't do the dishes, just, we need to take care of ourselves.
Right.
And sometimes that's not, that comes in pampering yourself or taking that quiet time to read the book or binge watch that Netflix series or take a bath or go for a walk.
Well, and I think we all need that reminder to give yourself a break for that, because those who are ambitious or like to have control, it's harder for them. And those that maybe, I don't know, I wish that it were easier to let go of, but I love hearing from others so far that, oh my gosh, my house, is a wreck, or I didn't do this for, months, and it helps. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm not alone in that. I'm not the only one that's letting this go.
And we put these expectations on ourselves, and they're artificial. That whether there's dishes in the sink or there's, clutter around the house. I mean, there are 2 other people that live in your house. It does not represent or say that you are failing as a wife, a mother, a parent, a woman. I mean, I don't understand where it started. Did it start? And I'm sure there's a sociologist out there who may have studied this, but did it start in the caveman times? Did that one cave woman like, oh, you should see her cave, right? Man, that girl.
Well, I think a lot of it could deal with social media and what we see. Because what am I doing while I'm laid up in bed and not doing anything else? I have my phone, scrolling through social media, and I was like done with it. I'm like, I don't want to look at any of this anymore because it was kind of bringing me down.
Right.
Not that one thing in particular, but it was also just reminding me that I'm not doing this for my business. I'm not doing this for my family. I'm not doing this for me. And I'm just stuck here. And,
well, and I think the concept of, keeping up with the Joneses has been around a long time. I agree, like just access with the internet and, everything that we're exposed to and all the images of what the ideal is, we are flooded with all of the time. But, I think as people, we're always trying to put our best foot forward and represent ourselves well. So, when people come over to your house, you want it to look nice because you want people to think highly of you. I happen to really love the fact that Michelle and I are in a friendship where, like, I'm totally okay if she comes over and there are dishes in my sink and my Christmas tree is still up and it's March.
It's just like Emily's just happy to step over items on my floor as well to get to the Studio C for our live stuff.
That's
right.
right.
Some days, that's just the way it is.
It's reality, and I love being able to be in that place of comfort where it's like, you're a real friend. We live real lives. Like, I don't have to put on this air that
However,
I have a mate.
Whenever we do take a picture, we have to have it from a higher level so that we can then filter it for Instagram and stuff like
well,
that.
I mean,
because we might be real, but we still have to present ourselves. I think that I worked really hard when I was younger and with the kids, and trying to have this idealized sort of life. And this was before, Facebook even. So my daughter's going to be 24 and my son will be 20, both next month. And the artificial pressures I put on myself made me miserable. And made me miserable because I didn't know how to articulate effectively enough to get my now ex-husband to understand what it was they needed from him.
Sure.
Right? I thought just saying the trash needs to be taken out was clear enough.
Well,
I thought it actually needed to be like, the trash needs to be taken out now.
Right. But then you would have been a bitch because you would have been demanding it be done. Right.
Right. So, but then I would just do it myself. I would just continue. The cycle would continue over and over. But as I've gotten older and realized what's more important is taking care of myself, and what's more important, and what a gift, right? And this can sound so cliche, but what a gift that you are pregnant and you are being forced to take some time.
Yes.
Because you know what it is when the baby's here, there is no time again.
Nope.
It's all you become, like your identity just appears and morphs into nursing and changing diapers and
Right.
up every few hours. So it's kind of like
I think you hit it on the head. I mean, it's not cliche at all. It is sometimes just exactly what you need that happens at the right time for the right reason. And I think to let go of comparison, because that really can be the thief of joy. Be real, be authentic, do for you and be yourself, because at the end of the day, it's you and your family. If you're not happy, then that trickles down.
Right.
And to learn from it, because you can really, I find, come out of this stronger and happier and more okay with where I am. That was just like the first time after pregnancy, when you first get pregnant, the surge of hormones, and then when after pregnancy, the other surge of hormones.
Right.
And the way that wears on it plays with your emotions. And also just your self-image, and the transformation that you go through, and to be okay with that and to be proud of it, because look at what you did. You created a beautiful human being.
Yeah,
and
that to this day continues to eat you out of house and home.
yes, and
to this day,
among other challenges, always learning.
Yeah, they will just like be happy now that right now you've got a 2.5-year-old that's probably pretty happy with their little snacks and the $4 lunch you can get them, because when they get older, they become much more expensive. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking with Michelle Biedermann and Michelle Doherty and
Emily Lane.
All right, we'll be back in a moment.
Great.
I think our other guest, Isabel. Okay.
Yeah. So
Totally.
So I was kind of thinking, I love what you were just saying about the surge of hormones. Like, I think that would be a good time. Like, we could come back in and talk about, like,
Hormones?
I'd love to talk about that. Okay. What did that mean for you? And I'd love to somehow tie in the conversation of how come there isn't a lot of information about prenatal.
That's right. Yeah, we were talking about that.
Depression.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The emotional roller coaster.
First trimester.
It's actually not prenatal.
Yeah.
She's already pregnant. But whatever. What would you consider that? It would be
During. I don't
Yeah.
know what
first trimester, or just it could be any point.
Pre and then ante, so that's post. So what is like during? I don't know what during is in Latin. I didn't take Latin.
I don't know. During pregnancy.
During
pregnancy. I know. Yeah, there is a word for it. Parnum. I mean, because it's postpartum.
That's
so is it
after.
parnum?
Partum is the pregnancy.
Parnum. So during parnum. I mean, I don't know.
Oh,
hi.
Hello.
Just help yourself to a
yeah,
seat.
you can feel free to move my purse. It's no problem.
A
I
little
know.
bit,
Yeah.
It helps us prevent
We like to.
getting wasted.
Mid.
What, mid?
Mid-pregnancy?
Yeah,
I just say first trimester.
mid-season, mid-study.
It's good to know now.
Where it, I don't understand.
That's true.
And that still sounds like somebody's being.
I don't understand where it started. There's a
Drip.
Drip. The first time on your recording?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. We drank bubbles on the. Then
Of
that
course.
was.
Fitting.
Yeah. In fact, we're due for some. Do you have bubbles within you? Very interested in learning about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 in my personal stash right now, but I'll also let you know.
I mean, I love bubbles.
Okay.
And
to give your
people feel.
to give yourself a
But again, it's all about sugar.
to give yourself a break for that, because you those who are, all of ours are less than 100 pp. Those who
Okay.
most around 50. Those who are ambitious or like to have a little tidbit of it, like to have control it's harder for them. And
I'm glad that thank you for
those
and I am enjoying
those that maybe, I don't know, I wish that it were easier to let go of, but that's, I don't know, so this is one, and that we are working for them. And, favorite wine, I don't know, I wish that it were easier to let go of, but
it's delicious. Let us know when we're ready to roll, Sam.
He's putting our
he's putting our commercial in. Yay! Oh, it's so exciting. I love it.
Is this the first of season 2, did you say?
No, it was the third.
Third.
Yeah, you just kicked it off.
Yes.
Last week.
Yeah.
Where we ended our final
From the
season 1.
release,
Yeah.
like what's released, like that one was the last. And
Okay.
now we're in the recording of the, season 2.
We need to mention our event.
Will this be out in time? Yeah, so this will be Emily Lane.
Right. We'll be back in a moment. Did you know 100% cotton is a super fiber when it comes to women's bodies? Not only is it super soft and super breathable, it's clinically
Emily, because the rep party is, what's the date again?
April 6th.
Yeah, it'll be after. Emily Lane.
Right. We'll be back in a moment. Did you know 100% cotton is a super fiber? Okay, but at least it'll be out till the 4:30. Okay.
We have the episode coming out this Friday. We could probably do an insert for the wrap party.
I don't have that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we want to,
Let me clear this.
yeah.
And if you have anything that you want to help share on social that you can like repost or share,
Oh,
send
yeah.
it over.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely tag you in everything that you're a part of here.
Oh, okay.
So, you know,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right, bring us back in.
And we're back.
We're back. This
Yeah.
wine is so tasty, Emily.
I know it. Doesn't it taste like a wine from Provence?
Sure, it is. If you say so. I just think it's really tasty. And I think it's tasty not because I haven't drank in a week.
Right. You've been really behaving.
I've been really behaving.
Congratulations.
So I don't know if I'm...
Are you pregnant?
No. and the lack of uterus is what... Not to mention the lack of anything to get me pregnant, but I have no uterus any longer. So if I were to be pregnant, that would be a miracle. And I am pretty amazing, but I have yet. I'm going to draw the line at being close to 50 and pregnant. I'm going to draw the line at that.
Right, right. Well,
If you thought I was complaining about my foot earlier in this show, I would so be complaining every single moment. I'm sorry, Michelle. I would be. I'd be like, this sucks. My boobs hurt. My hips are getting bigger. I have acid reflux. I can't help myself.
Like feeling fat.
Yeah, I can't fit in any of my clothes. I don't want to wear the same maternity clothes from 20 years ago.
well,
It would
I
be
think
awful.
that I think would be interesting as a woman. Like before, everybody knows that you're pregnant, and you're starting to like things don't fit, and you know it's like, is she pregnant or is she just getting a little bigger? Like I can imagine like that probably is a frustrating thing to feel. And
You know what's even more frustrating is standing in the elevator at the Galleria, and a dad in front of his 2 sons says, "So, when are you due?" And I said, 5 years ago.
No. And he was like, no, he didn't.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. I was like, yeah, he's 5.
oh no,
Nobody taught
That's
him. You
why.
never,
In front of his kids.
that's why it's just it's you just never ask.
never guess.
And
or ask.
and also, I mean, don't touch someone's belly.
I know.
Right?
What is up with people wanting to do that? I don't get it. I never have wanted
There's something that it just says, it's like this miracle that everybody wants to participate in. They're like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant. How amazing. Let me touch you, you know.
Let me lean down and speak into your belly. Really, really low.
That's where I draw the line.
I think you just have to do it back to them. You know, like,
all right,
oh, that would be hilarious.
I get to that touch your belly and lean over and speak into it.
What would you say?
Go for a walk.
When was your baby due? Oh, well, yes. That many years ago. No, it was, I mean, I remember those days. I remember that look on that man's face in the elevator. And
just
kind of like,
well, hopefully he learned his lesson and never asked again. Right. Yeah.
Well, you hope.
Right. I've had the lessons. So I've never had children, never been pregnant. And the inappropriate question that I often get asked from men is, so, you know, have you had any children? Are you planning to? And then it's, how old are you? Like, they're like, you know, boy, you know, you better start thinking about it if you, you know. And so the fact that people feel so free to judge you and
well, or to advise you on when you should be thinking about having children. You're like,
well, did you freeze some eggs?
Matter of fact, I have, and I'm just looking for some sperm. You got some for me? Yeah, we can just mix it up in the in the.
That seems like an open invite, though, and anybody that's going to ask that question of me, I don't want it.
You don't want them in your life for 18 more years, right? The minimum.
Right.
Well, at least we know we have boundaries.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, being pregnant and having children it's a roller coaster ride, you know? I mean, and I think our bodies are absolutely incredible in the fact that we can.
Right.
It's amazing. It is just a fascinating process, and but it's also a very trying and challenging. And speaking of roller coaster, just emotional roller coaster that sometimes you're not prepared for.
Yeah, you were talking about before we went on break, you were talking about the surge of hormones, like, you know, now, and it what are you experiencing? Are you experiencing, well, you mentioned it was a different experience than your previous one.
You know, I wonder if it was the combination of being sick and having the additional symptoms that I was experiencing with pregnancy that really played into the feeling of, I mean, really, I don't know that I've ever had depression, but I felt very down and foggy and blue, and like I didn't want to get out of bed. I just wanted to crawl under a rock until I felt better, right?
Right.
And I'm a pretty positive,
you are
optimistic, glass always half full person.
Wine glass always half full. Right.
Absolutely.
Did you reach out to anybody when you were feeling this way?
I did. I reached out I shared with a couple of close friends, and you know, one had actually felt that way as well. And she's like, I think it's just the surge of hormones, you know.
Sure.
She's like, I'm so, you know, I've been there. I know what you're going through, and was so supportive and so helpful. But also I reached out to my doctor just because I thought, you know, I'm not one to like give me something to help me feel better, but is there something that I can do, or are there any support groups? Because there are a ton of support groups for after pregnancy.
Right. Or should I even be concerned about this?
Totally. Right. Is this normal?
Right.
You begin to wonder.
That's interesting.
Am I normal?
That's interesting because, I mean, we commonly hear about postpartum depression, right? And so, you know, I would think that if someone is experiencing that, they know that this is something that people experience, and it's a known factor, and
they know what to look
at the doctor's office about
right,
it.
And there's support systems already in place for that. But I'm sure that, I mean, I've heard many of my friends go through the similar experience of having this depression, early in their pregnancy, and they're women like you who had been trying, and and are optimistic,
happy.
right. But that's not the experience of not just even the first trimester, but the experience of their pregnancy, And so I think that it's interesting that we don't hear about I don't even know what the proper term would be. It's not prenatal. It's not postpartum.
We don't know
like
Latin
during a pregnancy, the hormones and the depression that can happen.
Right. It's and it also almost it feels as though you don't just, it's not a switch, that just comes and you're like, oh, there's the hormones, but it's like just this weird feeling of sluggishness, and you're just not, I was cranky and not happy and just, wanting, like I said,
to stay in bed all day.
Stay in bed all day.
That's a classic kind of sign of depression.
Yeah. And talking to my doctor, she said, it definitely has to be the hormones, and she's checked around and there were no local support groups. The only thing that you could look to is finding a therapist or someone.
Really? Mm-hmm. That is shocking
to
me.
When I'm assuming your doctor's a she.
She is.
Did you feel sort of like left all alone at that point in time? Like, okay, so there's no support groups and I can't take an antidepressant because I'm pregnant, right? I don't want to medicate myself that way.
Right.
So I just need to go back to my house and crawl under the rock and
right.
Continue to update the apps on my phone to order food for my family, right?
I did at first, and she assured me that she was going to keep asking around and checking and looking, and by that point, I was trying to do my own, like, come on, let's shake this. Let's get up and get back to life. Like,
be your own coach.
Totally.
You can do this.
You know what? Yeah. Days are passing by and I'm missing this and this and this. And so.
But you were still also recovering from pneumonia.
Right.
So.
And the other symptoms. And so.
Yeah, you were asking a lot of your body.
And you have to keep up with everything that was required, like work, my career, and.
Oh, yeah, all of that stuff.
And your daughter and
yeah. Fortunately, this business could kind of just like coast. But it was just, the things that you have to get up and do. And I think, to an extent, keeping busy is a good thing. You have to force yourself to get up and be busy. Having good support. And honestly, what ended up helping the most was talking about it.
Oh, sure.
Talking about it. Even though it felt uncomfortable at times, but talking about it even with those who I am most comfortable with, and just asking for them to listen.
Maybe you should start your own support group.
Right. Clearly there's a need because there isn't anything local. And
right. With you being a driven person, you're not a stranger to social media. Maybe writing a little article some night, about how you feel and how you're surprised that there aren't a lot of resources readily available. Float it out there. I would be willing to bet that you would have some people raise their hands. And I'm sure we would be happy to float that article out there for you as well.
Totally.
And build a little Facebook group or a community
or even
of support.
Even something, simple as this is how I got through it during my first trimester.
Right.
Are you feeling the same way? You're not alone. I'm in my second trimester now, and I feel a lot better. So I'm not actually in that same state I was.
So,
or
maybe you just never know. Right?
But these are things that I did that that helped me cope.
Yeah, it would be nice to leave something better than when there wasn't anything, and perhaps if it can help somebody else, or even just make others, if they just want to read it quietly and not even respond, or just to take it in and know that they're not alone. I think that is so helpful for many when you can find similarities of what you're going through.
Yeah.
And that's so often how many of us do connect on social media, if you are open to making new connections, you are attracted to those with the similar interests and similar like-minded approach or wording.
Yeah, I would think, I know you have some friends that are mommy bloggers, and,
That's right.
like, I would think that they would be good resources for you to say, hey, maybe float this out there. And, I think, one of the things that as a common thread on our show, we talk about is that open vulnerability and being honest and talking about things. I mean, we have this show so that we can deal with our own issues, right?
We have found it is cheaper than therapy.
Right.
And because I actually haven't found a therapist that has allowed me to walk in with a bottle of wine yet and say, okay, I have a few things I want to discuss. And I'm going to drink my bottle while we do it.
Exactly.
They have not actually...
Yes.
And if there is somebody out there, please go ahead and send us a message.
No, but I mean, we're in jest a little bit, but it's true.
It's true.
The having these honest conversations are so incredibly helpful, which is why when you said, the best help has been for me just to be able to talk about it and not feel ashamed. And
Well, I love that idea, Emily. Thanks. I'll keep thinking it over.
Yeah, of course. Well, and if any of our listeners have ideas, we would love to hear from you. So if you have any thoughts or have experienced any of the same kinds of feelings and have resources, please feel free to chime in. Send us a message on Facebook, on Instagram, through our email, through our website, our comment line, any myriad of options that we have out there.
Yes, and listeners, I actually want to implore you, if you could be sure that you like us and subscribe to us, and even on YouTube, if you could like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel from every single email address that you have, that would be so helpful, because we have to have 1,000 subscribers before we start to mean anything in the YouTube world, and we're about 975 short. So I'm just asking
Just a small task.
Just a small task.
Yes.
I appreciate the all of the folks who are watching our YouTube channel and our videos on there, because I'm amazed at how many views we've gotten. I'm amazed at how many. I know our number by heart, Emily.
You do?
I do know our number by heart.
I know the last 4 numbers. That's it.
Okay, well, I'll let you do the last 4 numbers.
Okay.
But I was going to say I'm amazed at how our listenership has grown, and we appreciate everything that you guys are doing and telling people about our show. We just need to play the game with these, the algorithms and things like that. So we definitely need you guys to 5-star us and share us and things like that, so that we start to become relevant in their algorithms, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are always looking for your comments, and you can email us at cliterallyspeakingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can call our comment line.
1-800, right?
No,
it's not.
No,
I'm off on the wrong. I was
no.
so ambitious. I was
right,
so
Emily.
ambitious. Okay,
you have the last 4 numbers,
Okay.
right? 812-727.
0794.
Exactly.
Yay!
So that is our comment line number, and everything you ever want to know about our website. I mean, our podcast is on our website, also cliterallyspeakingpodcast.com. So, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the show, providing us with this fantastic rosé.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and
lovely having you
I'm glad
here.
you're feeling better.
Me too.
I'm glad your pregnancy is going along, well. I'm glad you're feeling better from where you were last trimester. And and we look forward to sharing a bottle when the little one arrives.
Yes.
We will have much to celebrate.
We will have and we will definitely make sure to share an announcement when your when your baby is born.
She'll let us.
Little name
It'll be
and
a surprise for all.
Michelle's a good name. Oh, you can't name
kind
your
of
daughter
taken
after-
twice
or
here.
maybe
How about Emily?
Emily's a good name.
And we're going to come up with the name for boy or girl. So
True. Now
I have to consider each.
That's true, because with you had mentioned with your last pregnancy, you kept it a surprise, and you have a girl, and her name is
Eleonora.
Eleanor, it's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So now I know you had selected a boy name. Is that boy name still in the queue this time around?
It's still in the works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We'll keep that one in there.
All right. Well,
keep us updated on everything.
We will. It's a tough choice, so ideas and suggestions are welcome. But
fantastic! Ooh.
Well, we will take you up on that.
Okay.
We'll start flooding you.
Well, this was so much fun.
All kind of questions.
Thank you for having me in tonight.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. And,
absolutely.
Keep us posted. And listeners, we already gave you all of our instructions, so we're not going to hit you over the head again with all the things we need you to do.
We'll just let you know that we love you. And thank you for joining the conversation.
Right. Cheers.